Welcome to Learner's Planet, my dear children. Children, in the previous session of volcanoes, earthquakes and tidal waves, we discussed about the volcanoes in detail and the introduction to such natural disasters. And in today's session, we will continue this lesson and we will learn about earthquakes and tidal waves in detail. So let us start with this session of natural disasters. Yes, earthquakes. Children, just imagine that one moment the world seems just the way it was yesterday, the day before yesterday, or the last year, or even the day before, right? So all is well with the world. And it's a beautiful sunny day and we are sitting, drinking our morning tea or coffee or milk, relaxed and enjoying the day. And suddenly there is a rattling of plates and glasses, and within the seconds chairs and tables are rocking violently, and the fans sway crazily and crockery is falling off the shelves. So sometimes plaster falls from the ceiling and walls develop cracks, or worse still, they collapse and the very earth is shaking. So what is all this? Suddenly if all these things start to happen, then what can we predict? What can we imagine? Yes, this is actually the natural disaster, the earthquakes. So what can we say about earthquakes? How can we define how they occur? We will see and we will study all about the earthquake in detail. So earthquakes are actually the shaking, rolling or sudden shock of the earth's surface. Or we can say that an earthquake is a sudden movement of a part of the earth's surface. They are the earth's natural means of releasing stress, and they are caused by severe shock waves that travel through solid rocks from underground to the surface. So we can say actually an earthquake happens from the underground because of the severe shock waves that travel through the rocks, and thereby they release their stress. So this natural means of releasing the stress is actually the earthquake. So let us now study more about our earthquake. Sorry, it is not our earthquake. Earthquakes can be felt over large areas, although they usually last less than 1 minute. And earthquakes cannot be predicted. So what is it actually? How can we say that earthquake can happen now, earthquake can happen then? We cannot predict because they can happen anytime. And more than 1 million earthquakes rattle the world each year. For example, the West Coast is most at the risk of having an earthquake, but earthquakes can happen in Midwest and along the East Coast. Earthquakes can be felt over large areas, although they usually last less than 1 minute, as we discussed. Right? So although scientists are working on it, then too we can say that earthquakes cannot be predicted. So what is actually happening underground that these things happen and earthquakes occur? Yes, this is the main thing about the earthquake, that is the point under the ground where the earthquake begins is called the focus. Here you can see in the picture, this is the focus, and the corresponding spot on the surface is called epicenter. So just imagine that this is our surface, this is the earth's surface, right? And as we discussed that earthquake is caused by severe shock waves that travel through solid rocks from underground. So this is the underground, right? Where the fault line appears and the focus appears, right? And from here it travels through the solid rocks. These are the layers. It will travel through the solid rocks from underground to the surface of the earth, right? And here on the surface it is the epicenter, that is the corresponding spot on the surface. And if these surfaces make transitions, or it slides, or it moves or shakes, that means an earthquake occurred. So because of these earthquakes, seismic waves occur, because of which we are able to at least predict somewhat that earthquake can happen or not. But still, it is going on. The research is going on. So let us now understand more about these earthquakes, how they happen and what is actually happening underneath the earth's surface. Yes, the first example which we are going to discuss here about an earthquake is during the Gujarat earthquake of 2001, Bhuj was the epicenter. Right, so this is the one such picture of earthquake, Gujarat earthquake of 2001. Yes, so this is the main picture where we can understand about the earthquake. Sometimes an earthquake has 4 shocks. These are the smaller earthquakes that happen in the same place as the larger earthquake that follows. So 4 shocks, what are these? Yes, these are smaller earthquakes that happen in the same place as the larger earthquake that follows. But it can be predicted that an earthquake is a foreshock until the larger earthquake happens, because it is a smaller one only that happens at the same place. So we cannot predict it. That is it a foreshock or is it a larger earthquake? Right? And the largest one, that is the main earthquake, is called the main shock. So did you got it? Have you got it? That the smaller one is the foreshock, means which initiates this process, this phenomenon of earthquake. And the largest main earthquake is the main shock. And main shocks always have aftershocks. So sometimes earthquake has 4 shocks, which are the smaller earthquakes, and the largest one is the main shock. And remember always that main shocks have aftershocks. So these are 3 shocks: foreshock, main shock and aftershocks. So what are actually aftershocks? Yes, these are the smaller earthquakes just like foreshocks, but the difference is that aftershocks occur afterwards in the same place as the main shock, and foreshocks occur previously, right? So aftershocks occur afterwards and foreshocks occur formerly, that means first. So this occurs when rocks that have been moved out of their place and they start falling back into the same place. So these main shock, aftershock and foreshock are taking place at the same place when rocks that have been moved out of their place, and that is why they start falling back, and that is why a crack occurs on the surface of the earth, which is known as the earthquake. So let us see what actually happens and where earthquake had happened, where we can see the best example of the aftershocks. Yes, in the Kashmir earthquake of 2005, aftershocks were felt for many days. Means these were the shocks, these were the smaller quakes or the tremors which occurred after the first big quake. And depending upon the size of the main shock, aftershocks can continue for weeks, months or even years after the main shock. So in Kashmir earthquake the same thing happened, that earthquakes were felt for many days, means smaller quakes were felt after a big quake at the same place where main shock occurred. So this was all about the introduction of earthquake and occur. This was the earthquake which we saw. This was the earthquake which occurred on the land. Now what happens if earthquake occurs elsewhere? Yes, if an earthquake occurs under the sea, it can cause a tsunami. And the most destructive of these are generated from the large shallow earthquakes with an epicenter or the fault line near or on the ocean floor. And the tsunami that hit northeastern Japan following the 11th March earthquake was 15 meters high. Some areas and it traveled 10 kilometers inland. So you can just imagine that tsunami can affect so much, right? Now we will study about measuring an earthquake. Now we saw that how and when and where an earthquake can happen, but scientists are still working on it, that how can we predict it. So to predict it or to measure that how much quakes have happened or occurred, for seeing that, for doing that, earthquakes are recorded by instruments called as seismographs. Now this you can see here in the picture. This is a spring and this is a weight. And what happens actually? The seismograph has actually a base. This is a base that sits firmly in the ground. So this is firmly set in the ground and a heavy weight that hangs freely. Now here is the heavy weight and here is the pen, right? Can you see here? This is a picture. Here is a pen, right? So this is a spring, this is a weight, and here is a pen, and here is a base which is firmly attached, and weight is hanging freely, right? And because of this weight, this pen works and it makes a graph on the paper, right? So let us see that how this working of a seismograph occurs. Yes, this is the working of seismograph. When an earthquake causes the ground to shake, the base of the seismograph shakes too, but the hanging weight does not shake. What is the importance of having a hanging weight? Instead, the spring or the string that it is hanging absorbs all the movement, and because of it, which the spring or the string which absorbs all the movement, what is recorded is the difference in position between the shaking part of the seismograph and the motionless part of the string or the spring. And that is why the weight that is hanging freely marks the points on the paper and makes a graph. So let us see what type of graph does it makes. Yes, this graph. The seismograph actually measures the intensity, direction and duration of the earthquakes which occurs. And what else can be done? What else is done by the seismograph? Yes, there are many scales which are used in a seismograph, but the most common which is used is the Richter scale. The Richter scale has actually 8 levels. So whenever it marks the weight which has a pen, whenever it marks on the graph, we can come to know about the intensity of the earthquake. We can also come to know about the direction and the duration of the earthquake that happened. And the lowest or the 1 indicates a quake that is almost not felt, and the highest or 8 indicates a massive earthquake. So because of this graph or because of this Richter scale, we are able to know that what type of intensity and what direction and what duration of earthquake has actually occurred. You will be very amazed to know that first seismograph was made in China. The earthquake made the balls from the pot fall into the mouths of the frogs, and because of that Chinese people were able to know that how the earthquake happened. So this was a very interesting technique or the amazing technique that the Chinese people used. Now let us see that what type of effect of an earthquake actually happens. Yes, effects of an earthquake. An earthquake, especially a strong one, always causes destruction of the property. Means buildings may develop cracks or even fall down, roads and bridges get damaged. And what else happens? Yes, trees get uprooted, many of the people lose their lives too by getting trapped in the heavy slabs that have fallen. Then an earthquake, especially an undersea one, can cause other disasters like tidal waves, and it can also cause landslides and fires. So these are some of the earthquakes of effects of an earthquake, and those who are the victim are actually they realize this type of pain because of the earthquake that occurs. So always remember that during an earthquake, draw up cover and hold on. Just stay indoors until the shaking stops, or stay away from the windows, and if you are in bed, then hold on and stay there, protecting your head with a pillow. If you are outdoors, then find a clear spot away from the buildings, trees and power lines, then drop to the ground. And if you are in a car, then slow down and drive towards very safest place, or rather stay in the car until the shaking stops. So these are some of the key points or the points to remember while an earthquake occurs. So this was all about the earthquakes. Now let us study about the other natural disaster known as the tidal waves. So what is actually tidal wave? Yes, tidal wave is the common name for a tsunami. Tsunami is a Japanese word meaning harbor wave. So what is actually meant by tsunami? Yes, it is a large ocean wave usually caused by an underwater earthquake or volcanic explosion. So we can say that it is a type of tidal wave. So let us see what actually happens when a tsunami occurs. Yes, tidal waves aren't really the waves. They are the ocean surface waves, that means the wind waves that move higher onto the shore because of the gravity of the moon. And this gravity of the moon changes where and how we see the waves. So they are actually not the waves. So these are some of the typical waves which occur in the oceans. Or we can say rather that the earthquake which occurs in the oceans are actually the special type of waves which is known as a tsunami. So how does this occur? Let us see. Yes, this is one picture of the tidal waves. So how does this occur? They aren't really the waves, they are the ocean surface waves. So the earth's gravity actually helps us to stay on the earth and not float up into the space, because it is the moon's gravity that pulls on the earth's water. So what is actually taking place here in this type of natural disaster where a tsunami occurs? The moon's gravity plays a very important role because it pulls on the earth's water, and when the moon is close to one side of the earth, it pulls the water into the ocean towards it. So gravity here is taking place, gravity is playing an important role. When the water moves towards the moon, the ocean gets fuller on that side and moves higher up on the beach, bringing the waves closer to us. Or the ocean gets fuller and higher up onto the surface near the land, bringing the waves closer to us. And this is called as high tide. When the water moves towards one part of the ocean and another part gets emptier and the waves don't come as close to the shore, this is known as low tide. So these type of tidal waves occur, that is the high tide and low tide. So on the side of the earth which is opposite to the moon, it is high tide too, because the spinning of the earth causes the water to rush towards the outside of the earth, and because of this there are two high tides every day and two low tides every day. So always remember that tsunamis are actually occurring when there is an earthquake under the ocean. This is how the tidal waves form in the ocean, right? Other things can make tsunamis too, like a volcanic eruption, a submarine rock slide, or a large impact in the water from an asteroid or meteor or non-marine rock slide. So whenever the earth slides and crashes together under the water, it causes huge waves to be made that rush towards the shore. And these waves destroy everything that they touch because they are so big and full of so much of water, right? So this is all about the tidal waves. And there is one fact about the tidal waves which occur, or the tsunami that occurred in India. Alright. So now let us see that what are actually the causes of the tidal waves. Why do they occur? How do they occur? Tidal waves are actually caused by the forces of the moon, sun and the planets upon the tides, which we discussed, high tide and the low tide, as well as the wind as it moves over the water. So remember that with typical waves water flows in circles, but with a tsunami water flows straight. And this is why tsunamis cause so much of damage. So much damage is occurred due to this natural disaster. Let us see one of the facts. Yes, the tsunami in 2004 which occurred was caused by an earthquake in the Indian Ocean. What actually happened there? A lot of people in the coastal areas of the Tamil Nadu and Kerala died in this disaster. And it also devastated the Andaman and Nicobar Islands and the islands of Indonesia. And Sri Lanka was also affected with it. So this was one such tsunami happened in India, actually happened in the Indian Ocean. We cannot say particularly in India, right? So this was all about tidal waves. So apart from these natural disasters, other natural disasters also occur, like the tropical cyclones, which have been the cause of a number of natural disasters. They are the storms with large low pressure centers and numerous thunderstorms that produce high winds and heavy rain. Generally they are known as hurricanes, but in the Northwest Pacific region they are known as the typhoons. And you will be very amazed to know that hurricane is defined as having a wind speed in excess of 73 miles per hour. But maximum sustained winds in the strongest tropical cyclones have been estimated to reach about 195 miles per hour. Cyclones form out in the ocean, and there are distinct hurricane seasons in different parts of the world, lasting for between 5 and 8 months. So there are special weather watches which are kept during these times and in the populated areas, and there are generally well-rehearsed plans that are put into place when a tropical cyclone approaches, because they often hit the coast with the tremendous force, causing significant damage. But having hit the land, friction slows them down, and that is why we say whenever tidal waves hit the land, they lower down the friction of the tidal waves, while the winds, they abate somewhat, heavy rains continue, and they cause serious flooding. So because of this, there is much damage. Even the Hurricane Katrina struck the states of Louisiana and Mississippi in August 2008, and many were victims, many were killed. Even tornadoes happen, which are very lethal weather event. A tornado is actually a violent, dangerous, rotating column of air that is in the contact with the surface of the earth, and because of their appearance, they are often called as twisters, because they happen anytime. So most of the tornadoes are about 250 feet across, have wind speeds of about 110 miles per hour, and blow themselves out after a few miles. Even there are in areas which are prone to tornadoes, many people will have an underground shelter. So without this kind of protection, the only hope is to get out of the way or get underneath something strong like a heavy table. It is not easy to escape extreme cold, and even this can also cause some fatalities, especially among the old and chronically sick. Even the floods can also come from the sea, like in early 1953 there was a major natural disaster when serious floods hit countries bordering the North Sea. And coincidentally, the number of people drowned in the Dutch flood was almost identical to the number of the people who died in the Hurricane Katrina, which hit the New Orleans in August 2005. So there are many such damages due to these natural disasters, like agricultural crop production can be ruined, milk production is reduced and the animals are distressed. Even excessive heat causes the power lines to sag and short out. As more people use fans or air conditioning, demand for electricity is pushed to the point where supply companies can no longer cope. And because of this also, such human activities are occurring, because of which it gives a rise to such natural disasters. So almost everywhere or almost anywhere, anything can occur. It is clear that the world is getting warmer, probably due to a natural process, but it is reasonable to assume that this process is being speeded up by the human activity, which releases into the atmosphere of large amounts of greenhouse gas. It is also reasonable to assume that these emissions or these gases are having a profound effect on the world's weather. And that is why it is very easy to blame every natural disaster on global warming. But meteorology is not an exact science. While in some cases this blame might be quite justified, in many cases this natural disaster occurs for purely natural reasons. Like we discussed, as earthquake is a natural disaster or a natural process of releasing stress. Right? So in all these things, the human activities also plays a very important role, that how we are keeping our surroundings, how we are keeping our earth. So we should keep our earth free of pollution and free of these harmful gases. Then and there only we can protect our environment. So it is better to overcome such natural disasters as they are unpredictable rather to run from it. Right? I hope you enjoyed today's session and you enjoyed learning about these natural disasters, some of the natural disasters. So we will meet in the next session with a new lesson. Till then, keep learning, keep enjoying, and take care of yourselves. Thank you, children.